A very happy morning to all of you. Welcome to the bio class. Children, today we will be starting with a new chapter, the fundamental unit of life, cell. So how much do we know about a cell? If you all remember, in 8th class you have studied about a cell. Also you have studied about the structure of an animal cell and plant cell, right? So how do we go ahead and define a cell? A cell can be defined as the structural and functional unit of life. Now, why do we call it as structural and functional unit of life? The reason we call the cell as structural and functional unit of life because cells are the smallest unit of the basic organization of the body. They help the organism to develop its structure and helps to perform different functions in the body. If we all remember the hierarchy of organization, the cell forms the basic structure here. जिस तरह से हम अभी एक रूम में बैठे हुए हैं, एक घर में हैं हम, इस घर को बनाने के लिए बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर क्या है? ब्रिक्स, राइट? सो ब्रिक्स आर द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द हाउस. सिमिलरली जो हमारा ऑर्गेनिजम्स होते हैं उनके बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर का बेसिक यूनिट इज अ सेल. अ सिंगल सेल मल्टीप्लाइज एंड डेवलप्स द कंप्लीट बॉडी ऑफ एन ऑर्गेनिज्म. द सेल्स हैविंग common function and structure, they combine together and form tissues. Now tissues that have same kind of functions, they form organs. The organs involved in some common functions form the organ system, and that's how the complex body of an organism develops. So this is how the cell forms the structural and functional unit of life and is considered to be the fundamental unit of life. The branch of the science that deals with the study of cells is called as cytology. Cytology deals with the study of structure and function of cells. Children, any idea how were the cells discovered? It was an English scientist, Robert Hooke, who observed a thin slice of bark of the tree, and under this bark of the tree he observed a part of the bark that is called as stalk. In that part he observed small compartment like structures. These small compartment like structures were named by Robert Hooke as cells. So he was the first person to observe the cells. However, the cells in the cork region were dead. So he discovered the dead cells. Now his studies were further taken over by Antony van Leeuwenhoek. He was a Dutch scientist and he observed free living cells in pond water. So Antony van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to observe the living cells. And this discovery of the living cells was further worked on, and there was another Scottish scientist, Mr. Robert Brown, who discovered the nucleus in the cell. J. Purkinje, he discovered the protoplasm in the cells. So this is how the different structures of the cells were discovered. As these different structures were studied thoroughly and the scientists were able to understand the functions of cell, there were two scientists, that was Jacob Sheldon and Theodore Schwann. They came up with a cell theory. The cell theory consisted of the following important points. They mentioned that all living things are composed of cells. Cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. New cells are produced from the existing cells. So these were the important points associated with cell theory, which was given by Jacob Sheldon and Theodore Schwann. Now children, can we go ahead and see the cells in our body by our naked eye? No, we cannot go ahead and see these cells with our naked eye. We can study the detailed structure of the cell with the help of microscope. There are two types of microscope, compound microscope and electron microscope. Electron microscope is used to study the detailed structure of the cell, whereas using the compound microscope, that is usually seen in our school laboratories, you will be able to just observe the basic structure of a cell. So this is how the cells are studied using microscopes. Now when we talk about the cell number, the living organisms can be classified depending upon the number of cells that they have or they are made up of. The organisms could be unicellular or multicellular. As the name suggests, unicellular organisms are made up of only one single cell. So, one single cell is capable of carrying out all the essential processes of life. Some examples of unicellular organisms are amoeba, paramecium, euglena. These are unicellular organisms. Whereas multicellular organisms are those organisms which are made up of multiple cells, and these multiple cells perform different functions in the body. Can we get some example of multicellular organisms? We ourselves are example of multicellular organism क्योंकि हमारे बॉडी में मल्टीपल सेल्स प्रेजेंट हैं जो डिफरेंट फंक्शंस परफॉर्म करते हैं. Plants are also example of multicellular organisms. Now, can we go ahead and differentiate or give some basic differentiation between unicellular and multicellular organism? We can. So, the first point we can say is that unicellular organisms have a single cell, whereas multicellular organisms are made up of many cells. Then in unicellular organism, a single cell is capable of performing all the life functions, but in multicellular organisms, multiple cells have different functions to perform. Then in unicellular organisms, the cell division occurs by fission or by budding, whereas in multicellular organisms, the cell division occurs by mitosis and meiosis process. So these are some basic differences to understand the unicellular and multicellular organism. Do we know anything about the cell size? The cell size remains constant for a particular cell. It has no relation with the size of an organism. For example, larger size of a whale or of an elephant is due to the presence of more number of cells. It is not because of the large size of the cells. So, size of the cell is not in relation with the size of the organism. It is the number of cells that matters for the size of the organism. Now, when we talk about the shape of the cell, do you all remember the shapes of the cell that you have studied earlier in your previous classes? If you see on this screen, you can see the various cells from the human body. We have nerve cell here, sperm, smooth muscle cells, blood cells, bone cell, fat cell, ovum. Can you see the different shapes? Smooth muscle cell is spindle shaped, nerve cells are elongated, fat cell is elliptical, then your ovum is here spherical in shape. So all the cells have different shapes. The shape of the cells are related to the function that they perform. This is about the shape of the cells. Also children, depending upon the complexity of the cellular organization, living organisms could be prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So depending upon the complexity of the structure of the cell, organisms can be classified as prokaryotes or eukaryotes. The organisms that are prokaryote, I'll go ahead and first explain you about the prokaryotic cells. If we break up the word prokaryotic into two parts, that is into pro and then karyotic. Pro means primitive and karyotic word is related with nucleus. So that means the primitive nucleus. These cells represent most primitive cells and the organism possessing these cells are called as prokaryotes. Example includes bacteria, blue-green algae and cyanobacteria. If you see the picture here, you can see that the genetic material, children, what is the genetic material that we usually have? That is DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. It is scattered in the cytoplasm and is not bounded by any membrane. So this is the one difference here in prokaryote or in prokaryotic cells. The genetic material is scattered. In addition to that, in the cytoplasm, you will not see the cell organelles that you have studied in your 8th standard. कहीं पे आपको माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया, एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम या गोल्गी apparatus दिख रहा है? No. It is only the ribosome that is present in the cytoplasm. So in prokaryotic cells, the genetic material is scattered. The genetic material here is called as nucleoid. Please remember this term. Nucleoid is the genetic material in prokaryotic cells, which is basically DNA. It is known by the term nucleoid. And in the cytoplasm, cell organelles are absent. It is only ribosomes that are present here. This is the difference between, this is basic structure of the prokaryotic cells. And as I gave you the example, bacteria, blue-green algae are the example of prokaryotic cells. Moving on to the eukaryotic cells. As we broke the prokaryotic term into two parts, similarly if we break up eukaryotic, eu means advanced and karyotic means nucleus. So here eukaryotic means having advanced nucleus. Best example for eukaryotic cells that you all can relate to is animal cell and plant cell, children. So हम सबको animal cell और plant cell के बारे में पता है, हम सब ने देखा हुआ है. Yes, so they have a membrane bound nucleus associated with cell organelles scattered in the cytoplasm. If you all compare the two diagrams of eukaryotes and prokaryotes here, you can see the difference. Prokaryotes, they have genetic material scattered in the cytoplasm, whereas in eukaryotic cell, the genetic material is bounded in the nucleus. The cell organelles in the prokaryotic cells is absent, but in eukaryotic cells, you can see the Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum. Yes. So these are the two major differences in the structure of prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So in this module, children, we have covered on the definition of the cell, the basic characteristic features of the cell, that is cell shape, cell size, cell number. Also, depending upon the complexity of the structure, the cells can be classified as prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Now, if we go ahead and differentiate between prokaryotic and eukaryotic, some of the differences that we can quote for prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells are, if you see the screen here, prokaryotic cells, size of the cell is generally small, that is between 1 to 10 mu meter. Do you have any idea what does mu stands here? Mu is the value of 10 raised to minus 7. Alright, so the prokaryotic cells are very small in size, whereas the eukaryotic cells, the size of the cell is generally large, that is 5 to 100 mu meter. The second difference, if you see here, a true nucleus is absent in prokaryotic cells. DNA lies directly into the cytoplasm, and nuclear region is devoid of nuclear membrane, and it is called as nucleoid. Whereas in eukaryotic cells, a distinct nucleus is present which is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. In prokaryotic cell, one single chromosome is present. In eukaryotic cell, many chromosomes are present. In prokaryotic cell, membrane-bound cell organelles are absent. In eukaryotic cell, membrane-bound cell organelles are present. Then in prokaryotic cells, smaller and randomly scattered ribosomes are present in the cytoplasm. In eukaryotic cells also, ribosomes are present and are bigger. Then in prokaryotic cells, nucleolus is absent, and in eukaryotic cells, nucleolus is present. Examples of prokaryotic cell is bacteria and blue-green algae, and eukaryotic fungi, plants and animals. Children, before we go ahead and close this module, any idea what is nucleolus? Nucleolus is part of a nucleus that is made up of RNA. Alright, so that is about the nucleolus. In this module, we have covered on the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell as well. In the next module, I'll teach you regarding the basic structure of the cell. Thank you.